Alright. Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahushua, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahushua, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahushua, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahushua. Let's give our praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Bekar, Kadash. The monster of the apostles, great millstone, salutation all you Akims and Aquas pushing the truth. Is Yahweh Canaan coming in, Yahweh Canaan coming in. And it's the year of Jacob's hope for trouble, and Jacob, your ass is in trouble. Because Esau is not playing. And let's start right off with this Ecclesiasticus 32 and 17. A sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will. See that? Because it's been Esau, the white man will, that after Reconstruction, that they had to deal with the black problem here, with all these free slaves being let go and them losing the Revolution War. So they came up with a plan to arm, which I'm going to read it here. So let's start here. This is by Dr. Clark Anderson, a black history readers, 101 questions you never thought to ask. So let's go into that, because we finna go into the petty rollers and where they at today, because we got some devastating information. Because Rack City was invented. So we gonna have to start y'all there. Give me a second. So, this is going to be a little quickie, but goodie, because the light shining on this devil. And he always find a way to justify his wickedness. So here we go. This page 9. It's a question 4. What is the history of today diversity policies? The word diversity was not selected at random. It had a purpose. The purpose of the policy of diversity was to divert resources, attention, opportunities, and population power away from Black America today. Diversity policies are simply the old anti-Black policy wearing a new set of clothing. The primary goal of the diversity policy, after redirecting resources from Black, is to obligate the unique role Blacks play in the development of this nation, and to give a mythology impression that all groups contributed equally to the development of this nation, which they not. We built this motherfucker. Nothing could be further from the truth. The diversity concept is designed to keep Black powerless and impoverished, obscure the social construct that socio-economically cripple Blacks, and then give rights, resources, and potential earnings by Blacks to nearly fabricated and collab together minority groups, basically other people. The concept of diversity was first introduced into American society centuries ago in the slave codes of 1705. The diversity provision in the slave code was a method to maintain racial balance in numbers to the minority Blacks. With the aggressive diversity produced regulations, the number of Blacks who could gather at one time and keep them under surveillance, so that whites could be alerted to avert any effort which might ignite insurrections. To effectively manage large Black population in the South, the Diversity Act mandated that a slave holder must have at least one white person to control and monitor every 4 Black slaves brought in the colonies. The slave to white ratio was difficult to keep in the mid 1700s because England, the chief slave trading nation, wanted to have as many slaves as possible in the colonies in order to produce as much commercial product for England as possible. I'm trying to get, okay, police true history. Here it is. This page 11 at the bottom. The 1705 Diversity Act included a provision that required white males to be member of a local militia, to bear arms, and to perform slave monitoring duties. This the petty rollers. All communities had to have plantation police or petty rollers to monitor the movement of slaves and to patrol from runaway slaves. The diversity provision that required whites to be the dominant population and pose arms to control the minority slaves, and the foundation of the Second Amendment. See, that's the foundation of the Second Amendment. Have the right to bear arms. That you Jakes now think that y'all have the right to bear arms, which they did because they emancipated, proclamated you, and made you a citizen, and gave you them rights. But that was that big ruckus was about. But that still didn't stop what? Ecclesiastes 32 and 17. A sinful man will not be reproved, but find an excuse according to his will. And what is his will? To keep Jake under this same petty rollers patrol with these officers throughout the streets, and which they created a system called the police force. It's and tools to establish and maintain a country for a free white population that control everything. White population dominated was to start national goals, but the reality was quite different. The North had limited use for slaves. In the South, plantation owners needed black slaves for labor, and blacks were dominant population in many of the colonies. So as you can see, so let's go and fast forward up to today. What's that? So here you go
Town was the population
CBS.
of less than 800, and he had requested over the course of 4 years 90 machine guns to get access to. He got an approval. It took until he requested a Gatling-style machine gun that spewed 6,000 rounds a minute for federal regulators to say there's something fishy going on and starting to look into it. He's now serving a 5-year prison sentence.
5 years.
Totally unremorseful.
5 years, unremorseful. But here I am, $200 of crack cocaine. I'm facing 90 years. So it goes to show you that even when they have judgment. See that? Come on, man. Start the video over. As I can see. Damn. Salakia, y'all got to work with me. All right, let's play this right off the top. It's breaking news. Police illegals sell restricted weapons. Everything is coming out on this death.
Serious actor. Let's start with the basics, shall we?
Everything is coming
Sleek,
out on this death.
stylish, built to last.
I mean, I could have got a lot of scriptures,
Transforming a lump
but we
of
just
dough
gonna keep it
into
simple.
A symphony of spaghetti and fettuccine, or whatever possible.
Come on, now you want to play
Shape your
commercial.
heart desires. 5 stars. DJ.
A CBS News investigation found dozens of law enforcement leaders buying and illegally selling guns. A review of government audits and court records over the last 20 years uncovered instances in 23 states across the U.S., plus Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., for a total of more than 50 cases. And people who were supposed to protect and serve were selling these high-powered guns and making a steep profit. Erin Couchie, who led this reporting, is here with me in Studio 57. She's a producer for CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit. Erin, this is so mind-boggling that these high-ranking officers are getting these guns and then they're selling them to criminals. In essence, the law enforcement officers are criminals themselves.
Right. So the key is that these weapons are usually deemed too dangerous to be on the street. So they're using their access as law enforcement officials to gain access to things that otherwise wouldn't be on the market. they're saying we need this for our official duties to serve and protect, but actually they're secretly turning around and they're selling.
They're buying them because they're law enforcement officials, or they're requesting them? Tell me more.
It runs the gamut. So there were 50 cases all across the country, and there were different ways they got it. Sometimes they stole it out of the inventory. Sometimes they were their issued weapons by the department. In the most egregious cases, there were battlefield weapons, and that requires them to go to federal regulators, ask for special permission to gain access to them. And just to give you a sense of what kind of weapons these could take out an armored tank. They could go through a building at the other side, hit a target 18 football fields away. They can take out a military helicopter. That's an example from a real case. We found an Iowa police chief in a 3-person police department. Town was the population of less than 800, and he had requested over the course of 4 years 90 machine guns to get access to. He'd gotten approval. It took until he requested a Gatling-style machine gun that spewed 6,000 rounds a minute for federal regulators to say there's something fishy going on and starting to look into it. He's now serving a 5-year prison sentence, but he's totally unremorseful about it. He just says it's a business. It's not illegal to sell things in this country, and he's appealing his sentence because he just doesn't think it's a crime.
Oh,
See that?
This is a lot to take in, Aaron. And when I'm looking through all of this material, I'm seeing here that your team also uncovered social media posts where the buyers are talking about how they got the officers to sell weapons. Tell me more about that.
So when you're talking about machine guns, you do have to go to the federal regulation because there's been an outright ban in the United States since 1986. No one can have access to them. The one exception is official government use. So they go to federal regulators, but all you need is a letter. It's functionally a permission slip. A police chief signs a letter saying, I need this for department use. So there's literally do-it-yourself videos on social media explaining there's online web forums, and it just comes down to relationships. There's some guys who said, I know a police chief, I know a sheriff, I know a SWAT guy. They just take turns signing these letters for me, and they make it like it's all for fun. Some of these guys just think it's fun to literally mount it on an armored tank and just shoot it off into a field. And a lot of the guys is totally innocent, and that's what they do. But the problem is there are cases where they've ended up in the hands of criminals. So they've ended up with drug traffickers, they've ended up with arms dealers. There was a case where a police chief, a mayor, and a town it was a member of the town council were trafficking guns and tactical gear to a Mexican cartel. There was a case just last year where they all ended up pleading guilty. It was 2 police chiefs, a sheriff, a Delta Force veteran, all conspiring together with a sanctioned Russian arms dealer, and they ended up in the hands of an international gun trafficker. Again, all of that ended up pleading guilty, so we know for sure.
So you can see. So let's get it. So now y'all know where the guns coming from, where these gangs getting the guns. We've been saying it, always been saying it. Esau's the devil to kill Jake, and that's why you also have this. And I'm gonna show you one more. This is straight madness, bro. Chicago Sun-Times crime. Now look at this. This is Chicago. Nope, this isn't it. We gotta get that crime out of there. Map. Nope, that ain't it. Here it is. Chicago Sun-Times, every homicide victim in Chicago. It's a site. Look this site up. And you see the map and how it's all concentrated. In Chicago neighborhoods, south side, from downtown. You know, so you got the 22nd and State all the way to 79th and the Hundreds. That's Inglewood and all them areas. So it's all concentrated. You look at this map, you see that? It ain't showing good, but as long as you move outside of Chicago, you're fine. But it's all about design, and that's why the scriptures tell us in Ecclesiastes 12:10, never trust our enemy. For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. See that? Because You got the blacks, Latins, and Native Americans. Y'all quick to say, "Oh, I'm with the blue. I'm with the blue wall of silence," or "I'm with being a police officer." No, I totally been against the police officers and anybody to join that shit. They got a blue wall of silence and ain't no changing it. They was the petty rollers. You can't change their history, and it's coming out more and more of what they have been doing to the 12 tribes of Israel. So Ecclesiastes 12:10, never trust our enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And that's why I understand now why I'm 46 and they had officer friendly and taking us to these places to meet officers and the firefighters and to create a relationship with them, because they was there to oversee us, the petty rollers, and to kill us. It said, though he humble himself, oh, that's the officer, he here to protect and serve, and go crouching, oh, he go a donation, yet take good heed and beware of him. And though thou be unto him as thou hast wiped a looking glass, and that thou know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away, set him not by thee, lest when he has overthrown thee, he stand up in thou place. See that? That's why. And they do what? Gentrify your neighborhoods. Neither let him stay at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thou seat. And that's why you even had testimonies of Akims. I was watching Chicago earlier of Malcolm and them Akims. That's where I got this lesson from. So shalom to you Akims out there. That like when he came back from the Navy, he actually heard the police say like, oh, this is my block to young Jake. What you doing out here? I got my guys out here serving. Plus I got my own testimony of my cousin them being in the Dearborns and telling me that they get their drugs from the feds. And when they have nation work, that nation work was for the government of Chicago. That's why they called it nation work. And thou at last remember my words and be pricked therewith. And you see Rick Ross, the story of Rick Ross, free Ricky Ross. And I ain't talking about the fucking rapper, but you see how they promote it through the music. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? See that? So any of y'all that's going along with this drug shit, this gang shit, that culture, that cloning Tyrone, the African American culture, it's a death sentence. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? So when it goes to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sin. See that? So you join that police force shit talking about, well, I ain't know, I just wanted a career. No, you partake in that sin with them motherfuckers. You ain't protecting serving shit. Who will pity for a while, he will abide with thee. But if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. Right? They be at your door, SWAT team, ready to shoot everybody. Y'all been seeing the stories. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagine how to throw thee into a pit. Right? That's what they doing at them meetings, them police meetings. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Right? They, oh man, we feel bad for y'all, but be right over in y'all neighborhood the next day, 50 deep. The sergeants and everything, knowing that an officer just then killed one of y'all wrongly or some. If adversity come unto thee, thou shalt find him there first. Right? They had your whole community surrounded. And though he pretend to help thee, see that? They got these officers riding around our neighborhood like pretending to help us. But then every time you see one of us get pulled over, we got this extreme fear because y'all been terrorizing us. Yet shall he undermine thee. And they do. Oh, them the drug dealers, them the killers, and we're the good guys making careers. No, y'all the criminals. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. And that's exactly what they do. So you got to be careful of Esau the devil. And that's why the scriptures say you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Now we know what's up. And see, y'all trying to look the other way, those of y'all who partake with this devil. But just remember, the scripture said, Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, who will pity a charmer that is bitten by a serpent, or such as come nigh wild beast? So when it goes to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? So you don't want to have nothing to do with these modern day police, army, military, none of that shit. Because what Yahweh said, come out of Babylon, my people. And with that, Shalom. Figure it out.